Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Q&A to the San Francisco Green Film Festival 2025. This is the Green Shorts Program number one. And look at us. We have some great filmmakers here. The filmmakers have joined us. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. This has to be a short and sweet Q&A, about 20, 25 minutes. So let's get right into it. If you can go around the room, I'll call you out. Introduce yourself, your role, and the film you're attached to, and then why you made the film. What inspired you to make the film? And Steve, you're top in my corner here, so why don't you begin for us, please?
Hi, thank you, Jason. I'm Steve Pellets. I produced and directed Land's End, and it's a film about, open water swimmers outside San Francisco's Golden Gate, and really about the healing nature of open water swimming. So, really, it was delivered as a way of saying thank you to my community of swimmer friends, and kind of a tribute to both the ocean, the healing aspects of the ocean, and kind of a tip of the hat to adventure and community.
And just a reminder for all of you, chances are the audiences have already watched your film, so they know about them. There's no spoiler possibilities here. And Steve, I also want to add, I think I might go and try to swim in China Beach after watching your movie. I might have to talk to you outside of this Q&A because there's not enough time to give all your films proper Q&As. I could spend an hour with each of you alone. Thanks, Steve. Diego, you're next on my screen.
Um, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Sorry, I was gonna mess around with my AirPods for a second. There's some wild construction that just began right outside my window, so I apologize
That's right.
yeah,
Just speed it up. We got about 20 minutes, so I want to get to
if
some
you guys
questions.
catch any of that. Diego Riley here. I'm a co-director, co-producer, co-editor on What the River Knows. It's a film about Glen Canyon on the Colorado. Um, it came to us. I mean, my co-director Will, my creative partner Will, and I had known about this story for a long time. We initially learned about Glen Canyon as a place that we were never going to have an opportunity to see, and kind of this mythical landscape that was lost to future generations in the 1960s when it was flooded by the reservoir Lake Powell. That story transformed in the last, I mean, really, it's been transforming since 2000, but I feel like the story really started to emerge that the canyon was coming back due to overuse and climate change in the last several years. And we were really inspired by it as a story of the world that we've inherited and how we don't necessarily need to do things the way that they've been done in the past. We don't need to accept the infrastructure that's handed down to us if it doesn't work and if it's not in dialogue with the natural world in balance with that. And an optimistic climate change story to some degree at the end of the day. There's obviously doom and gloom really pervades the
Right.
conversation with good reason, but this is a story about nature's resilience and its capacity to restore itself that we found really inspiring. And it gave us a chance to just go hang out in Glen Canyon, which had been a lifelong dream and is really one of the most stunning landscapes in the United States and in the world.
Yeah, right on. And well-structured film with multiple format use, found footage, right, and all those type of things.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Lots of archival. There's great stuff going back to the construction of the dam and home videos for activists, environmentalists that went and visited Glen Canyon before it was flooded. So it was really cool to match that archival footage and that 8 millimeter, 16
did any
millimeter.
of that stuff kind of inspire your storytelling structure? Like after you found these gems of media?
Definitely. It definitely inspired the look of how we wanted to shoot the canyon itself because we'd
Uh,
grown up seeing the home videos and they have a specific feel about them. But there's a real character to the way that Katie Lee and David Brower shot these canyons. And so it definitely inspired the way that we wanted to capture it
cool,
on
cool. Well
digital and
done.
large
Well
format.
done. Yeah.
Thank
Andrea, next, please.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for this selection. We're so happy to have Intangible Zone in the festival. I'm the production coordinator from Honduras, and I help with Greg and his team to work on this beautiful short film about indigenous communities in the Colombian Amazon that are in involuntary isolations, one of the few identified by the state of Colombia. And it's part of the Solution Storytelling Project, which is a series that we work on via consortium with the support of Skull Foundation. And it's a film that it has a lot of relevance today with so many indigenous communities in danger, and some are really hidden in the Amazon that they don't want contact, and we need to protect them.
Yeah, yeah, a stunning film too. How you know you guys are inspiring me to ask many questions, and I know I don't have much time. How did you gain access to these peoples?
It was thanks to Amazon conservation team, and Greg Mendes, the director and producer, made a huge investigation. He went like 15 days in the Amazon to try to
Wow.
talk to them, to the Boricada indigenous community and the Curare. Also, there are two other indigenous communities that protect the ones who don't want contact with the outside world. So he had to ask permission and try to explain to them what is the documentary, what is the process. And they said yes, because they want the world to know that we need to protect these indigenous communities.
Did they say yes right away, or does trust have to be built up? Did it take a little time before you began filming?
Took time. Thankfully, Amazon conservation team has a lot of years working with them and helping them with resources, with technology, also to how to protect these communities. So they were open to it, and they were part of all decisions in the production process and post-production process.
I see. Excellent. Thank you. Jeremy, would you go next, please?
Yeah. Thanks so much, audience, for watching our films and for having us at the San Francisco Green Fest. We really appreciate it.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah, so I made the film Terminus. I'm the director, producer, writer, editor, cameraman, everything.
Wow.
And it's a little art project that is really about the fact where I live here in Seattle. I live on a sailboat, if you can't tell.
I was going to
Most
ask
of the
where
time.
that is. Yeah, okay.
And right across from us, we have these beautiful, really remote Olympic mountains. And I learned that there's a lot of glaciers in these coastal mountains going out towards the Pacific Ocean, and they are disappearing due to man-made climate change. And the national park, Olympic National Park, put a call out for artists to memorialize a specific glacier and make sure that we at least remember it if
Wow.
they're going to disappear. And so the lens of this film is through my little neighbor kids that live on a boat nearby, and kind of their exploration of one specific glacier and learning about it. And really, it's about the perspective of these very innocent children and kind of the heavy weight of climate change, but I think more loving and falling in love with nature
Mhm.
and kind of creating that space.
Yeah.
So
That's what initially struck me when I watched your film months ago. That perspective, you just nailed it. The perspective of these two young kids, and what an interesting approach to
Yeah.
share, what's going on. With-
Yeah, I think it helps open it up for adults and other people to kind of feel something a little different than we normally do about climate change. I think
Yeah.
often we're just kind of frame it as we're victims, and
or
I
or
think
like kind of depressing doom and gloom kind of.
yeah, and I'm a little more interested in ways that we solve it kind of deeper than that. And I think one of the ways is that we have to fall in love with our planet again.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
kind of what I'm trying to evoke in this film, I think, through the kids and kind
Yeah,
of their
you do it.
their playtime.
It resonated with me. Nice. Matthew, please go next.
I wish I was on a boat. That looks really cool.
I wish I had your guitar behind you there.
Rickenbacker, my baby.
Yes, nice.
Thank you, Matthew Bailey here. I'm the co-director and editor of The Congress, and I came into that film in an interesting way. I was actually working on another documentary about Aman, who is the organization in Indonesia that works with the indigenous communities there. And when footage started coming in, we got about 25 hours of this event that they had just held called Congress in Indonesia. And it's one of the largest gatherings of indigenous communities in the world, where they meet for about 3 days to basically get a consensus on a number of issues that all those communities are facing. It's Indonesia is 17,000 islands with about 1,300 different indigenous communities that don't necessarily communicate. So this event allows them to meet every 5 years, discuss. They don't vote on anything. They must reach a consensus before moving forward, and then go to the government with a unified voice to get things done. And they absolutely do get things done. The footage was beautiful, so I felt very lucky to get asked to work on it.
Yeah, and fascinating subject topic. Like, it's amazing that we don't even know about this. I didn't know about this, that it's taking place. How long has this been going on, this Congress?
I think that was the third one, so it's about 15 years. Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic news of these peoples coming together to go and make a difference, and it's not on the news. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that they can't believe that this is happening and I've never heard of it before. So I felt lucky to be able to push the story out.
And we're lucky that you made it and we got to see it.
Thank you.
So, Matthew, since I'm on you, and I'll ask this of everyone, what's something you may have learned? A little bit unusual question for a film Q&A, but what's something you may have learned about yourself, about climate change, about the world? I'm going to ask this of all of you. Away from making it, and now you know something new.
The film really solidified this very interesting fact to me that indigenous communities have protect about 80% of the world's biodiversity, but only have rights to about 10% of the world's land. And it's just a very disproportionate situation. And when they're entrusted and when they're allowed to map their lands and get land rights, they take care of it, and we all benefit from it. So it's an issue that is kind of important for everyone.
Thank you. Jeremy, same question. Something you may have learned about yourself, the world, climate change?
Yeah. Well, I'll get real specific. I think it's in this whole process, it was really interesting to see these two children. They immediately anthropomorphized this glacier. Like the glacier is called Hubert, but it became Hubert, like a person, right? And Hubert's melting, and this is the toe of the glacier, that's his toe, and like that was really interesting to me because I come from a career in a background where it's like, oh, you're supposed to kind of be a little more scientific about these things. And I think the truth and the heart really lays in sort of how they're seeing it. Like seeing us and it and us, and that sort of connectivity, if that's not too wild for you guys. But yeah, I think that was kind of a really eye opener for me, and just like a type of vision that I'm working more on, kind of even in myself, right?
Right on. Cool. Good for you. Awesome. Thank you. Andrea, something you may have learned?
Well, I think something beautiful that there are still many indigenous communities who are in isolation and they preserve their own ancestral knowledge and their own cosmology. So learning that we need to protect them. We don't see these news in the media outlets, the common ones, but hearing from the human perspective and how other communities around them are trying to protect them. I think one of the indigenous leaders in the film says that they lost their language, they lost their religion because of the outside world, but they don't want that to happen to the isolation, to the other community. So I think it's beautiful that other people are protecting them and seeing from firsthand consequences.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Diego.
Learned such a great deal on this project. We were working on it for like 2 full years. So I could talk at length.
Quicker than I would have guessed.
Really? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a point where we were just like, all right, we put our heads down and just tried to get through it. Definitely learned a lot about water law and the way that water resources are managed in the West. The history of that, the Colorado River Compact, for example, in 1923, which is still the law of the river that determines allotments of water to each of the 7 basin states on the Colorado River. And I think I hadn't really appreciated the fact that that was drawn up somewhat arbitrarily in 1923, and that so much of the infrastructure that's been put in place is contributing to the water crisis in the West, because it's not suited to the hydrology that we are in now with climate change and the way that that's transforming, and B, that there was just this real attitude of hubris and the war on nature from which this era of dams really emerged. So definitely got very well schooled on that in a way that I didn't expect, but that was very fulfilling. And I think just my perspective on the river definitely transformed over the course of it, in terms of the river being a real driving character of the story and
Yeah.
having its own spirit. And I think that it's been very cool as this project has gone along to see that conversation emerge.
Cool. Well said. Steve, what have you learned? You're muted. Steve, you're muted.
As a newbie filmmaker and previously as an MBA student and kind of for-profit person, I really realized that I think it's important to appeal to the heart. I mean, Jeremy talked about this, but to appeal to the heart and to provide entertainment before you can hook somebody. I think there is so much doom and gloom. It's a hard starting place. So appealing to the heart and then the mind, and then I think a lot of these battles have to be fought through the legal system, political system, but that's kind of not the most sexy world, honestly. And whether it's the UN or international treaties on the high seas, I'm actually most focused on producing a film about shark conservation and biodiversity and some of the world's hot spots and remote islands. But I started with this film because it was, I mean, easier to produce, local swimming place, and then kind of working on the emotional appeal, and then layering in, I think, the more sort of left brain approach to the ocean, which will probably hopefully be part of my next film. So yeah, I just kind of learned there's also a lot of skills that I don't have in the filmmaking world that I hope to acquire for storytelling.
Yeah, the world of filmmaking. Well, last question. Now we got time for one more short answer. Andrea, I'll start with you. Anything you want to add? Anything I didn't ask you? Anything you want to share?
I think I invite everyone to see the complete series, Solution Storytelling Project, because it's a beautiful program that shows stories around the world in Latin America, Africa, and you can get inspired by other stories that show solutions about the current world. And Intangible Zone is such a powerful film that talks about struggles in Latin America that also made many people around the world can feel connected and make actions. We need more people to make actions. Thank
And
you.
your films help to do that. Thank goodness for you guys making green films. Thank you. Diego, something you want to add I might not have asked or want to share with us?
Sure. I think just that the conversation around Lake Powell that you see in media presence is so often dominated by that doom and gloom of the lake drying up, and there being so much less water in the system than there has been historically. And I think there's a way of looking at it as an opportunity to do things differently moving forward, and that there's this real silver lining of preserving this landscape for future generations. There's a chance of working with indigenous communities and tribes whose homeland is Glen Canyon, whose origin story is this landscape, and seeing that they have more of a voice in its management moving forward and a seat at the table. So I guess you bring up Lake Powell, we found, and people are generally like, ooh, yeah, that's tough, isn't it? It's going away. And I think just that obviously, objectively, it's going to be a challenging situation moving forward in terms of how we manage our dwindling water in the West. But that there is optimism and there's hope moving forward. And thank you so much for having us at the San Francisco Green Fest.
Very
We're
welcome.
really
Thank you.
excited.
Steve, last statements you want to make? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think for climate change or a lot of these issues that we're facing, I think I've sort of come to believe that it's important to start where we are and take whatever baby steps we can. I mean, we're not going to solve these problems in one pass, but I think international cooperation and making progress, even if it's slow, but it's better than no progress at all. So not to be discouraged, to stay optimistic and keep fighting. Those are important.
I hear you. Right on. Matthew, anything you want to add?
I just want to thank you and all the other filmmakers. I mean, I watched the films and there was positivity and hope in them. And I think we're all kind of in need of that. And that was amazing. And also, I always feel like I'm always in film school and I learned something from each of those films, something that I'll probably steal and use for myself, a good editing technique, beautiful photography. So really talented group of people. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait to see all these films on the big screen.
Yeah,
awesome.
super cool.
Yeah, and Jeremy, last but not least, any parting words? Anything you want to add that we didn't talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I would just echo exactly what Matthew just said. Just super inspired by all of you guys. You know, Glen Canyon is a place I grew up learning about that kind of triggered my activism in growing up in Southwest Utah, and just all these stories are so important and incredible. But I also just end up with this meta kind of feeling that, you know, it doesn't have to be this big terrifying thing, that we actually already know what to do on this whole issue, every single one of us, right? And so I think it's just about an internal commitment, and like individual transformation leads to these collective changes. And so let's start there, and let's not, you know, blame ourselves for this whole thing, but we know what to do. We got
Yeah.
this. And it's going to be hard. It's 80 degrees in October in places where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But you know, we know
Yeah.
what to do. We all have privilege and means and different ways of doing that.
Indeed, and you guys are examples of that just by making your films, making your art. Congratulations. Well done. Thank you for making them. Thank you for sharing with us here at SF Green Fest and with the audience here. Speaking of audiences, thank you, audience, for watching this Q&A, coming to our film festival, supporting indie film. That's all the time we have. Check out more great independent cinema at sfindie.com. It was a pleasure speaking to all of you. I hope to see you at the film festival. Keep doing what you're doing, and I hope to meet you in person someday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Jason.